Is this thing on? Yay, you made it to Analytical Sociology. As I mentioned already before, we have several live sessions and today is the first one. And you made it here. So let me again talk a little bit about the ground rules, about how these live sessions are going to work. So here they are. Make sure to check your emails and Brightspace regularly. I will keep continuously posting content on Brightspace, and email is also the way for me to reach you. Please make sure that you have the Zoom software installed and unpacked on your computer. We will use this software in our live sessions. You find a link to Zoom on Brightspace. I know it's early and I definitely did not choose the slot at Tuesdays at 9 a.m. But make sure that you join the meetings in time. You can enter a Zoom link 10 minutes before the live session starts. Please sign in with your real name and show your face. I will do so too. If you do have any problems with the connection, you can use one of the dedicated rooms on campus for that.
Well, you gotta go to school, so let's do it.
I don't want to go to school.
Oh, those background noises. So it's a very good idea to mute yourself to avoid any audio feedback and unwanted noises. Unless you want to say something, then you can unmute yourself. And please engage. I want us to interact. It's difficult enough to teach online, but it's even more difficult when you or I don't engage. So say hello. And if for whatever reason you are on campus or if some face-to-face session actually do work out, please make sure to always wear a face covering. So on this note, let's get this module started, shall we? Hello everybody, can you hear me? Yes, can you have a thumbs up if you can hear me? That's already great. That's already one of the biggest problems sorted out. So my name is Thomas Grund. You might know me, you might not know me. I'm associate professor in sociology, and I'm the module coordinator for Analytical Sociology, the module that you signed up for and that you came for. So you made it, which is great. In case you had technical issues, it's difficult to talk about that because you wouldn't be here, obviously, right? But hopefully we get it all sorted out. This session is also recorded. I record all the live sessions, nevertheless. Great to have you here. Welcome. I know this is sort of like an odd time, like we are trying to teach, and even for me, this is kind of odd. I'm sitting here in my office. I don't really, I see you in gallery view, but it's a very different experience from being in the lecture theater. So bear with me and bear with my colleagues, bear with the university. We're trying to get the best thing done that we can. Okay, so everybody heard me. It's great, because otherwise you always need to tell me, because I can't see that, so I wouldn't be able to notice. Or if you cannot hear a sound from a video and so on, please let me know. Please reach out to me straight away so that I can fix it. Okay, what I brought with me today, so what I want to do, I want to give an introduction. Mostly I will talk about the practicalities of this module. So how are we going to run it, and so that you know what to expect, or how generally we will deal with the module. So for that, I brought a couple of slides with me that I want to talk to you about. I also talk about the assessment of this module and other practicalities. And then after that, there's obviously room for questions. So whenever you have questions, feel free to raise your hand. I will try to keep track of that. But that's, again, like something that is challenging to figure it out. But you can unmute yourself and you can say something, right? So there's a button on Zoom. It should be in your picture. There you can click on unmute and feel free to do that and say something, right? So that we kind of get that interactive session going. At the same time, I'm asking you to mute yourself when you don't say something, when you don't want to say something, simply because, there could be background noises, there could be feedback loops, and we've been there, we had it all. So these are all things that we want to avoid, right? But at the same time, please feel free to unmute yourself and say something. It kind of makes it much easier, not just for us, but also for me and for everybody involved, especially in this virtual setting, which is new for us all. Okay? Okay. Yeah, like the odd head nodding is also good because it tells me that, okay, I don't know, I'm not just talking against the wall, right? Okay, great. So if you kind of do some head banging once in a while, this would be perfect. So I have my slides. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to share my slides, and then I talk about them. And if you have some questions on something in between, please unmute yourself and interrupt me straight away. It should work. That then you can say something and I will respond directly to it. Yeah? Everything good? Okay. Do that. Okay, analytical sociology, here we are. And a couple of rules that I want to, or what I tell my students, what always helps, and how you can be successful in this module. And generally, what I mean by that is if you follow that, if you do what I tell you, if you continue to show up, which is what you do right now, which is great. If you pay attention and if you do the readings, there will be a lot of readings in this module, you will do good in this module. So I always say to myself, there's no reason why not everybody can't have an A in this module. So everybody can do well, but you do need to follow, you need to buy in, you need to come along and follow me in what I tell you. So the first thing that I always say is showing up. So, life rewards showing up, and there's probably a reason for it. But even in times like this, because you will see recordings, even this session is maybe, why should we show up? Well, a couple of reasons. First of all, it kind of really is a dedicated time for you to engage with this. Yeah, and it also provides you a structure for this. And don't underestimate that, especially in these days where we're all sitting at home in our pajamas, and God, even I wear hiking gear and whatnot. And so having a dedicated time that is reserved for a module where you learn, where you engage with that material, really brings you a long way. So I want you to show up at the live sessions as you do right now. You get the most out of that if you do that. But I also want you to show up mentally. And by that, I mean, like, every week you will have readings to do. Every week you will have pre-recorded materials to watch. So do that, have your schedule for following up on that. Okay, the second point that I always mention is paying attention. So maybe online this is a little easier, because if you're loud, I just kick you out. So I can totally do that. It's so much easier than in the lecture theater. But in the lecture theater, I also say, pay attention. I know it's kind of, especially this year, you don't see each other as well. I'm aware of that. So it's kind of hard. This is your time to also meet each other. But they're generally in the lecture material. You will see a lot of material condensed. And this is a general thing that you see at the university. It's different from school. In school, you talk about a topic for weeks. But here, bang, I kind of hit you with the topic in half an hour, and that's it. Right? And otherwise, you would have taken four weeks to deal with it. But so generally, things mean something. And I ask you to pay attention. But all the materials, these live sessions will be recorded as well. You can watch it afterwards again, if you kind of miss something or so on. But generally, try to be there in the present. Okay, the last thing that I want to flag at the beginning, as I said, this course is quite reading intensive. So every week, or normally every lecture, has like its dedicated required reading. And I designed it in such a way that normally there are 2 lectures per week. And that means, like, for each lecture, you have to read, I don't know, between 20 to 30 pages, maybe sometimes a little more, maybe sometimes a little less. Yeah, and that's sort of a required reading. that I ask you to do before a session, before a lecture. Yeah, that's sort of, we call that flipped classroom, but it really helps you to get the most out of this module. Yeah, if you kind of read something already and then I talk about it. Doesn't mean that you have to understand everything in that reading. Yeah, but try your best. And this is sort of part of the learning experience as well. Try your best, try to get that. And then we talk about it. And then we can have a much more substantive discussion about something. Yeah, so then we can really build on that. And these readings, they add up. There's like for every session, there's one. So really stay on top of that. But I also have a mechanism that requires you to stay on top of that. Now, basically, there will be 2 online tests for those readings, and these 2 online tests, they will be assessed and graded, and they form part of your grade. On top of that, what I normally do, let's see how I do this now with the pre-recorded materials and the live sessions. What I normally do is at the beginning of each session, I also have like a small little quiz which is not graded, but that also relates to the reading. Yeah, and that kind of is sort of a self-test for you, but it's also a test for me to see how well did you understand a reading or not. But generally, stay on top of the readings, because if you don't, you have a big problem at the end of the day of this module. Okay, the most important thing here is Brightspace. And on Brightspace, we will use that much more. I already used that a lot, but now, this is our primary mode of contact, where I post material, where I post information. Is it one place for you to go to check out what's going on about this module. So Brightspace, and to do that, so let me see if I can get this going. I am to try out something new. So now I'm going to launch a little poll because I want to know if you guys actually know how to find this module on Brightspace. God, this is going surprisingly well. This is really cool. This is the first time I'm trying these polls on Zoom. So I see most of you guys know the chapter. That's probably why you're here. It's something we call survival bias. You're the guys, if you would not have checked out Brightspace, it would have been difficult for you to find this and be here at the moment. You see, that's sort of we call that selection bias. Others of you know how to find it. Nobody said that they don't know. Well, if you wouldn't know it, or if you have some other friends of yours that are in this module and don't know, please tell them, because it really is my primary mode of getting in touch with you. Yeah, I will write you an email once in a while, but you will see I will continuously post material on Brightspace. So I try to keep this in the simplest way as I can. So under learning materials, it's just one flow of things that I keep updating. But I will show you that in a second as well. So on Brightspace, oh, there we go. There we see, this is the Brightspace page for this module. And there you see, I already posted a few things. So under learning materials, then you can really just scroll down and the module will, everything that kind of will be relevant at that particular time will be posted in one go. So I don't like to kind of hide things in subfolders. Other people like to do that, but I try to keep it as simple as possible. So you go in learning materials and then you just scroll down and you'll see the relevant things. And on that first page, when you kind of land there, I also posted the syllabus. And the syllabus is sort of like our guiding thing for this module. And let me hang on. Here I have the syllabus. So there's more detailed information about it as well. I will cover what I think are the most important ones right now, but the syllabus is more detailed. So it tells you, again, if you want to look something up. So what are the Zoom links in a way? You find them there, or when do we have live session? Or actually the syllabus also has already the detailed sessions. So with the readings, with the required readings, with further extended readings and so on. So if you haven't done so yet, please look at the syllabus of this module. It will guide us through this whole trimester. There might be, I always try not to, but these days you never know. So these days you need to be flexible. And I try to stay to the syllabus as much as I can. I will definitely stay with the live sessions and the links that we have in there. But sometimes when I realize that maybe a topic is better covered in a different way, maybe I might cut something shorter, or I might extend something else. Keep in mind, kind of producing these pre-recorded videos, that's also new for me too. And even though I've been recording my lectures for quite a few years, and in some ways it makes it much easier right now, but still this is a new format. And with a new format, it's sometimes hard to find the right pitch. I'm trying as best as I can with the combination of live sessions and recorded materials that we have in here, but bear with me that this is a learning experience on my side as well. Okay, so we have the syllabus, which holds all the information, but let me kind of zoom in on a few important things that I want to tell you. So the first one, again, like the readings, second one, lectures, are they going to work? And the third one is the assessment of this module. So talking about the readings. So I mentioned that for every session, there's going to be I have a plan, I know what I want to talk about, and for each session, there are readings. And when you go on Brightspace or even in the syllabus, you'll see like the different sessions. For example, the next session, normally this would be the next lecture, but now it's going to be a pre-recorded video, so that I will release on Thursday. The next session will be what is analytical sociology. And there you already see there are two readings for that. And the first reading has a star on it. So that means that is the required reading for that session. That means everybody reads that reading before the session. You do that as a preparation. So basically, this is what you do until Thursday. So this is your homework. So every time you get some homework from session to session, and then you have, if a topic interests you, there's extended readings. I don't expect you to do that, but this is sort of like additional information if you want to go beyond that. And but this can be a lot. So don't be discouraged from that. So I want you to focus on the required reading. That is the required reading. And in fact, it's actually also made easy for you. Those readings, I posted them as PDF on the Brightspace page as well. So essentially, there's no excuse to not do the reading. So you have the reading here for Thursday for the session, What is Analytical Sociology? The reading by Gianluca Manzo. You have the PDF. You read that before the next session. Okay, and then for the next topics, for example, after that, we have puzzles and explanations that I will post next week. If you would click on that, you would see the required readings for that session there as well, and also as PDFs. Okay, and the extended readings, this is if you want to go beyond something. I posted the PDFs as well, but by no means I expect you to read the extended readings. But feel free to do that if a topic interests you, or if you are excited about it, or if you want to know more about it. The required readings, they are, however, really important also for the assessment. So I will come back to that. You have to do that. You have to have a profound knowledge. You need to not just be present here in the lectures when I talk about something, but this is a two-way street. You need to also do something. And you're responsible for those readings from session to session. And if you stay on top of that, as I said, you will be fine in this module. Okay, then we have the lectures.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I observed something in that the previous screen you were sharing, and I just wanted to point out. I think that the book that you are suggesting, you've labeled as systems and norms. I think it should be not actions and norms. It should be actions and networks. It's a minor detail. It's just.
Oh, that's good. Thanks very much. It's great. It shows me that you guys pay attention. So yeah, let me correct that. I make mistakes. So that's how life goes. I will change that. Thanks very much for letting me know. So this reading by Manzo, you have the PDF. I scanned it in from this book. Actually, there's a book where I also have a contribution in there. So I also wrote an article in that book. But Gianluca gives a nice introduction on the principles of analytical sociology. Okay.
I just wanted to say thank you for making them PDFs. It makes them much more accessible, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, you know, at the end of the day, my thinking is there's just no bloody excuse for this module. So you have the PDFs, they are there, and if it helps you to read it, then
since people are asking questions, I might as well bring it up now. I was going to wait till the end, but you know the way you were saying, oh, it's hard to keep track of people asking questions, right? There's like a there's a chat feature on Zoom.
Yeah, I know, but yeah. But try to be on my side. So I don't even see you guys at the moment. So I have like my screen shared. I have like, I don't know, lots of other shit around me. Yeah. And then stay on top of the chat. That's kind of difficult.
Yeah,
that's fair. Sort of especially when you're sharing the full screen. I don't see the chat at the moment. So, but I'm learning. I'm trying to figure it out. But yeah, there's a chance that I might not see the chat at this stage. So let me continue and talk about the lecture. So I don't know. So we still have lectures, sort of, you know, and lectures. People ask me, Thomas, so what do you think about lectures as a format and so on? And I think, you know, lectures are not going to die out. So they're still going to be there because it is a primary mode of kind of conveying some knowledge. You know? And obviously, it's kind of always funny. You always think that I try to teach you something, but at the end of the day, you teach yourself, you know, like by reading something, by listening to what I do. I can't you do that, you know. I can just tell you how you can learn yourself, but at the end, the learning process actually happens in your mind, happens in your brain. And but I still think that lectures are very useful, especially at an earlier stage. So at an undergrad level, we are in year 2. All of you are in year 2, unless, you know, we have some master students as well. So here, I think the lecture does have a valid place to be. At the same time, I'm trying to mix it up. You know, they're sort of with some interactive components, but I believe these interactive components, they are not very helpful if they are not based on something solid, right? It's a completely different experience when we base it on something solid. And that means, like, we all did the reading, we all listened to the lecture or what I do in a way. And then the interactive component is so much better than just coming together and rambling around. You know, as you will see, I hate rambling around, but that's also part of the whole analytical sociology. It tries to be very clear and very precise and so on. So we have the lectures, and the way the lectures will work, you know, like, I don't know, we're already here. So we have like some live sessions, you know, and we have 6 live sessions. I thought about how can I do that? And there are really lots of things to weigh against each other. For example, I also had to think about what happens if I fall sick. You know, if I fall sick, 100 students have a problem. So I need to have a system that kind of preempts that, or kind of can deal with that, that is sustainable against it. That's sort of why I don't have live sessions all the time. Also, live sessions, they can go wrong. They are much easier to go wrong on my side, but also on your side. You know, and I hope that everybody who wanted to be here is here right now. But that's always like an issue. So with pre-recorded materials, that's something we can control in a better way. And that's also what the university tells us, that asynchronous, one calls that asynchronous, you know, that these asynchronous components, they are actually very useful as well, because it allows you to kind of catch up on the material on your own time. But as I said, everything that I do will be recorded as well. Yeah, we had a question?
Yeah, Thomas, I have a question regarding the recorded sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So while having those, we might have some doubts or something. Not just me, like anyone in the class might have the doubts that any other person too can have that. So do we have a common platform where we can post a question and where you can help us with that? So that if I have asked a question and someone else too had the same question, they can get a help from that particular question. Or something that has not come in my mind and someone else has thought about it, I can get help of that. Like, why didn't I thought about that?
Absolutely. You know, that's always the mindset that you should be in anyway. If you have a question, even if you think it's a stupid question, chances are there's another person who also has that question. So that's sort of a good thing. I hadn't thought about that, but maybe what I might do in Brightspace, I can set up a discussion forum. I had mixed experiences with that in the past, because these things can also be dead in the water, but I'm happy to give it a try. Again, so I can set up a discussion forum on Brightspace. I can post the information there, and there you can just ask very general questions and also see if other people have general questions. So maybe it's a good thing to have, especially in a setting where we don't have, I don't know, the ideal lecture interaction that we would have otherwise.
Right.
Okay. So in those live sessions, I also try to have, I don't know, have some quizzes and stuff. And in the lecture, it's sometimes a little easier to be done, but I will see, and I have some ideas about how I can do that as well. So I will try to keep you on your toes, be it either with a poll or being with something else, like a quiz that we do or an interactive session that we have during the live session. Because that's really what the university is about. So part of that might also be that I have small within lecture tasks during those live sessions where I ask you something, or where I even break you out. So I'm keen, I might not do that today, but maybe the next time I will break you out into breakout groups in Zoom, where you are in small little groups with, I don't know, 3-4 other students. And there I ask you to discuss something. You know, take a few minutes to discuss a question that I give you, and then I bring you back in. And these components, they are not graded. Yeah, they are not graded. But that's sort of an essential, well, it's for your learning. But there are some graded components, and hang on, before I get to that. So we have like the live sessions, but then we also have the pre-recorded materials. And I will post that every Thursday. Maybe I don't post it on Thursdays at 9 o'clock in the morning because it's bloody early. Yeah. And I still think, I don't know why I got this slot, but here we are. So I will post that material on Thursdays. I try to keep it regular, so that we all have a rhythm into that. It's like important for me too to get a rhythm, but also for you too. But at the same time, this year, I don't know, one needs to be flexible. So again, as I said, what if I fall sick, but then I try to have materials ready for you as soon as I can. But I try to be there. Thursday afternoon would be a good time for you to check Brightspace to see what is there. Okay, so, but also the live sessions, they are also recorded, and I will post the whole thing as video on the Brightspace page as well. Okay, so let's move on to something that you need to do, and in terms of the assessment throughout the semester, there you will encounter take-home tests. So there will be 2 take-home tests. And the first one is going to be posted on the 21st of October already. And the way these take-home tests work is on Brightspace. I will show you later on once we get there where you can find it and so on. It's on Brightspace Quiz, I think this is where it is. And the way this will work is it will be a quiz that will be about the readings. It will be about the readings that you had to do up to that moment in time. And you will have 96 hours to complete that quiz at your own time, at home, at your own leisure. And what is the idea behind that quiz? Well, the idea really is because it forces you to catch up on those readings. So some questions are really detailed, where I really ask you about, I don't know, complete a sentence that is very deep down in a reading, right? So that means you need to find it. It means you really have to engage with that material. So that's the idea behind that. So in terms of pedagogy, why do I have this quiz? It's going to be a multiple choice quiz where you have to answer multiple choice questions or you have to fill something in. And this quiz will be available for you to do for 96 hours. So even if you have time to really catch up on the readings, ideally you would already, as I said before, do it before each session, and then it should be very easy for you to do. And the thing will be submitted through Brightspace. And there will be a second one on at the end of November. So you see I spaced it apart, so at halfway through and towards the end of the trimester, so that we always deal with the readings that you had to do up to that moment in time. And each one of these take-home tests will actually count for 10% of your overall grade. So they do add up. They do matter, but it's also a good way for you to stay on top of the readings for this module.
Excuse me, I have a question on the test. So you mentioned it's 96 hours. Does that starts counting from when you upload it? But is there like an in-test timer that will go on once you start it?
No, there isn't. So I know some people do that. They give you a time frame, and then you have an hour within the time frame. So in my case, you have the whole 96 hours. So I don't care how long you take. You can sit there for 96 hours if you want to, but
okay,
you have to do it within those 96 hours. but I will talk more about that, but these things, it's important to be really clear about that, especially because we don't have like the weekly interaction where you guys can ask me questions where I can tell you something. So let me try to be very clear on that, but now I have to think about it. Now let me also create this discussion forum where you guys can pose questions along the way as well that might be relevant for everybody.
I was also curious, will it lock you out if like you left and came back during it, like if your internet failed or whatever, like during the test, if you tried to get back into it, would it close?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I can check that, but I think I kind of set it up in a way that you can stop and that you can continue. So that's what I would want to do, and I'm pretty sure that technically it's possible, but I can double check that I actually switched that on. Okay, so the take-home test required readings, they check that you actually read the material, but then we also have an assignment. Normally there would be an exam and on an assignment, but this year, God, it's 2020. So we don't have exams. So you guys don't have the pleasure of sitting with thousands of other students in the RDS, which is always a nightmare. I always thought, like, how the hell do you guys write exams there? It's like crazy. I don't know. Sometimes I show up there, well, we're supposed to show up there when our exams take place. And I'm always thinking, gosh, I couldn't do that. It's like very difficult, like noises and whatnot. So maybe 2020 is the year where we are rethinking our assessment as well. But anyway, so for this module, you will get an end of term assignment, And so I will release that also in time. I think I already said in the syllabus when I'm going to release that. I think I release it on the day after the second take-home test. And that will be available. I don't have the date here right now, but it is on the syllabus. Let me just check the syllabus for that. Oh, there you see the syllabus. So we have the assignment. It will be available on the 29th of November at 4 p.m. It's just after the second take-home test finished, and you then have until the 18th of December to complete the assignment. And the assignment will be different from the take-home test. It will be more like you have to write something. Normally what I do is I give you like 10 questions, and for each question you have to write something. So it's not going to be multiple choice. It's going to be like really transferring, applying the knowledge that you got before. And this assignment, 18th of December, that's the deadline for that. So you have 3 weeks to do it. I know lots of things come together, so I try to space it out as much as I can. But at the same time, there are requirements about when things need to be in. So, and that makes up for 80% of the grade for this module. And I will talk more about that assignment once we get closer. In fact, we actually have one whole session. The last live session will all be dedicated about the assignment so that you guys can ask me questions about it and that you don't freak out about what I ask you to do. Okay, syllabus, I already showed you the syllabus, but please, so kind of look at it at your own time. Hang on, let me see if I can still get going again.
Thomas, I have another question.
Yep.
Is it possible, like, if we have some doubt or specific, we can book a separate time with you or to discuss something specific?
Yeah, absolutely. This is in the syllabus. I have virtual office hours. Yeah. So basically, otherwise I will have, I write it. So this is the syllabus. Otherwise I have flexible virtual office hours. So in that case, you can reach out to me by email. Just write me an email and we set up a separate Zoom call for that.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the syllabus. So really kind of have a look at it. I try to kind of be as clear as I can. I also try to make not any mistakes if I can. You have the Zoom links. So the next live session is going to be on the 6th of October. In between, there's going to be pre-recorded materials. The readings, they are kind of marked with a star. And there I have information about the assessment. And then you go further down, you have like the syllabus here. So, and the first week introduction, there we go. And now we have like the first substantive session, what is analytical sociology, and you have the required reading here. And then, I don't know, I always have like a few things where I kind of try to summarize what the fuck those readings are about, like in a short little way. So you have three recorded sessions. So for next week, then you have to read the article by Elster, the book chapter, and another piece by Bickel. And then we have our next live session on the 6th of October. And as I said, I try to stick to this as much as possible. Sometimes I don't know, now I'm getting better, but one never knows. I try to stick to this schedule as much as possible. Okay. So yeah, there we go. So now we're actually at the question part of this. So do we have any questions about all the lovely stuff that I talked about so far? Yeah. Guys, come on. Give me something. Yeah.
I'll give you something then. Why Zoom? Why Zoom?
Why Zoom? Why Zoom?
Like loads of professors are using it. Like I don't understand. And
why Zoom?
And I had a therapist. Why Zoom? Just why Zoom? Like I don't understand. Why did it blow up? Why did Zoom blow up so much? Like I don't understand.
Okay.
Dumb question.
Yeah, well, no, it's not a dumb question. So apparently Zoom was already used by quite a lot of people before for meetings. So it was already the software of choice for online meetings compared to Skype. I'm still a guy. I still have a Skype account. You know, like God, you know, I still even have a Skype subscription that I can make phone calls. Germany, where my folks live. But Zoom is just very, I think it's very straightforward. Yeah, it's very easier to handle. It's a little more stable from the experience that we had. And it's also a little, it's foolproof. So far, my experiences with it were very positive. And what is the other thing at the university that we can do? So you guys, you will see many different things. And God, I'm sorry for that, but you guys will see very diverse approaches to things, right? So I do Zoom, I have like 6 live sessions, I have pre-recorded videos, but other colleagues do something very different. So other colleagues, they might just, I don't know, post audio stuff, you know, but maybe that's just the best thing that they can do. You know, maybe, I don't know, I have like some old guys that are close to retirement, and I can't ask them to use a fucking green screen, you know, it just doesn't work. But then the alternative would have been, what you might experience is using Brightspace itself. There's something called Collaborate Ultra, and you might come across that in other modules. That's like the virtual learning environment there, which is also nice. It's very similar to this a little bit, but it has like one fatal flaw for me. And that's, it's not very good in dealing with videos. And as you might have seen, even from the beginning, I play videos once in a while. Also like in the lectures, so that I want you to see something, and then we talk about it and so on. And that's why Zoom seemed for me the best choice. But as I said, it's a learning experience on all fronts.
Cool, thank you.
How's it going for you? I don't know. Are you guys good with Zoom? Yeah?
Yeah, it's good. It's pretty good.
It's going good. Okay. Do we have any other questions?
I would like to ask something.
Go ahead.
No one else. So you mentioned the final assignment would include some questions. So I was wondering, coming from a more postgraduate master's mentality, would we like get an opportunity to actually apply an analytical sociology like approach to a topic of our selection somehow in this module?
Yeah, well, it won't be a research project, so I won't ask you to do a research project because I cannot expect that at the lecture level, at this level. But what I will do, there will be, and I don't know, for example, apply. Well, actually, I used to ask questions where I talk about something that is called the Matthew effect, you know, like about how the rich get richer and things like that. And then I ask you to give me a research design about how one could study it. And this is then where you can really think, wow, okay, cool. So how could I go about it? You know, and where you then can apply that into an area. So ideally, this is what the assignment would do. You know, it just does not check that you kind of understood something, but it also kind of looks at that transfer, where you kind of transfer that knowledge into something else and then apply it. In the ideal world, you would do a research project, but then we're kind of busy another year on that, right? So we can't do that within this context.
Yeah, fair enough.
But nevertheless, what I'm going to do, especially for the master students, I often, because we have like undergraduates, we have a mix of students coming from all kind of different things here. You know, we have undergraduate students, we have master students, and the master students, I know you guys have to write a thesis at the end of the day. And what I will do when I talk about my stuff, oftentimes when there's a topic where I think, okay, this is actually a cool topic for a thesis, yeah, then I will let you know. Or I will actually post that on Brightspace as well, with different small little topics where actually I would be excited to supervise the topic, because sometimes there's a lot of stuff that I can't do, but I would be happy to if other people would work on it, maybe with me, and I will post that and connect it to the lecture.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
So if the COVID situation improves,
Yeah.
The lectures are going to still be online, or there's a chance that we do it in campus?
Well, okay, so I'm not going to say there is no chance. This is just the life that we live at the moment. But I wanted to plan this module in a way that I know it's going to work, that I know no matter what happens, it's going to work, and it's not going to upset things, right? So I would operate under the assumption that we follow the syllabus that we have, because I think this is the way that it does work. If for whatever reason in a month's time, I don't know, nobody has the virus anymore, in 2 months' time, it's like this magic thing where it just goes away. Of course, I would love to see it. Of course, I would love to have the face-to-face session. And maybe towards the end, again, as I said, if things are improved, which if you ask me for my professional opinion, I study social networks, I study diffusion of things and so on. I'm skeptical about, but if it would be, I would be more than happy to offer a live session, to turn one of those live sessions that we have here right now, maybe into a face-to-face live session. But that kind of brings up all sorts of other challenges, because then some folks are not here. What do I do then? And then I have to do 3 things at the same time. And then I do everything in a shitty way instead of just doing one thing in the right way. But I get it. It's kind of like a tough time. It's also what I realized for you not to see each other, so I'm going to try to create opportunities for that, where you guys can catch up with each other, or you guys can talk with each other. Sometimes what I do, I just keep the Zoom running at the end of the day, and I don't know, I just sign out, I switch off my sound and whatnot, and you kind of have your little chats if you want to, in a way. So I don't want to rule it out. And this is where I say we need to give ourselves some flexibility to adapt to it. But the plan that I kind of put together right now is a plan that I think that will work regardless.
Okay, thank you.
Have any other questions?
Hi, can you hear me?
Sure, yeah, great. Yeah.
Hi. I was wondering if you could, I suppose, tell us a little bit about yourself and your history and how you ended up in UCD. If you don't mind.
Whoa, that's a big topic, but actually I can relate to it a little bit, because I am actually coming out of this whole analytical sociology tradition, right? So actually with my supervisor, so before UCD, I lived in many different places. So I think I lived in 7 different countries in the last 15, 20 years.
Oh, wow. I'm jealous.
So I studied, first I have a degree in computer science. In Germany, an undergraduate degree. Then I did an undergraduate degree in sociology. Then I did a master's degree in sociology in Germany. Then I did a master's degree in something like, I don't know, global transformations. I can't remember. I call it the Masters of the Universe. I did that at Cambridge in the UK. And then I moved on to do my PhD in sociology at Oxford University. And after that, I moved on to postdoc positions at ETH in Zurich, Technical University. Then I was in Montreal at the Université de Montréal, French-speaking university. And between I was at Cornell University for a while. I was a visitor there for a time. And then I moved to Sweden. So I was in Stockholm University. And from Sweden, I moved to Ireland. And I'm in Ireland for the last 5 years. So it's a bit of a journey. Yeah. So
yes, quite a journey.
it's a journey. And but throughout that time, so we'll talk about that in the pre-recorded session as well. But analytical sociology really was started with a couple of folks when I was a PhD student at Oxford with my supervisor, Peter Hedström. He wrote the books about it. And so I got engaged in that community we started off with small little meetings with 20 people. And now there's like big conferences every year with hundreds of people that kind of identify with analytical sociology. And so in that regard, like this module is always like, it's close to me. It's close to what I do. And sometimes people ask, so what is analytical sociology? And if I'm kind of in a funny mode, I just say, well, it's stuff that Thomas likes. So this is what I talk to you about, but you will see there's more to it. So there's a lot about social dynamics, social influence, about non-linearities, how things kind of unfold, and in a way, the current situation is a great example for that. Because we are freaking out about hundreds of infections. Why are we freaking out about 200 infections? Well, because we know this is sort of like, boom, this is sort of how it goes. It's not just a linear thing. And in a way, this is, I don't know, there's these social dynamics, that I don't know, we are interacting with each other. And it's not just that we would know things about each individual, then we can tell everything about the whole thing. No, it's really about how they are related with each other. In this case, it's really like, I don't know, even if I would know every behavior of yours, I couldn't tell about how the thing evolved. It really matters how you guys relate with others, right? How we are kind of meeting each other right now, for example. So, but we'll talk much more about that in the first video, and hopefully you get a better grasp of it then.
Great, thank you.
Hi, Thomas. So my question is related to the subject, like, are we going to have some real application of the things that
real applications, you kind of cut off. Yeah, can I hear you?
I think he disconnected. He's no longer here. I don't see him.
Yeah, these are the pleasures of Zoom. Like somebody asks a question and then boom, and then
what are the real applications? Gone, just gone.
Yeah, you can also fake it, So anyway, so real applications, of course. Yeah, I don't know. I try to connect that. So as you will see, we'll have lectures on social influence. So I talked with you a lot about research that was done on Facebook, for example. Yeah, or how people looked at, I don't know, how one gets influenced by others. So it will be very applied. The first session will be a little more theoretical in nature, but after that, it will be much more applied and substantiated with empirical research.
So are we going to use any particular tool for that? Like we have many tools to do the studies and all. So is it something related to, we'll be using particular tool, kind of tool that we should have in our laptops so that we can just apply those things that we study in the real life scenarios? Yeah,
no, not in this module. So in this module, the tool that you need are your glasses and your eyes and the readings. So that's what you need, and the thing here, like kind of trying to understand what's going on. We don't have the time in this module to kind of teach you also like the methods. You have other modules for that, right? You have introduction to statistics where you learn R, I think, or I don't know, or programming, where you learn programming and so on. This module is more about the sociological thinking around that. What you will experience, I do ask you to read real research articles, stuff that I write. Yeah, actually, in fact, I ask you to read some of my papers too. Yeah, so because I want us to engage with things on that level, right? And so because I don't know, I'm not a fan of dumbing things down. Yeah, I think you are adults. You're kind of all clever people, and sometimes some things, even when I read papers, I need to read them twice or three times. Well, that's just how it is. But you really get better in that.
I might be pretty dumb for saying this, but like some papers, they use words I've never even seen before. Like I'm just like, what is this word? I don't know what it means. This language is too complex for me. And I feel dumb as a result because I don't understand it. Because
no. So actually, normally what I do, I had to change things, right? So, but normally what I do, so I can tell you, normally the first reading that I give students is like a hoax. It's like an article by Alan Sokal. We will talk about it on Thursday. It's an article that doesn't make any sense, but it sounds beautiful. It's like postmodern stuff, that is just really take words from here and it's very fancy. And I'm not a fan of that at all. I think these are bad articles. I think they are bad articles. And even in your writing, like you should never try to gain authority, or you should never try to gain credibility by expressing yourself in a complicated way. I think I
agree.
Maybe Anna, maybe you can unmute yourself.
I'm not trying to say, oh, we shouldn't like try to use the best vocabulary possible. I'm just trying to say there are times and places for it, but like when you're using it unnecessarily, it's very fucking annoying. I'm sorry, Michelle. Lord of the Rings is a good example of this. It's so fucking like there's so many words there. Don't even. Oh, I don't want to get loud. But oh my god.
Well, not to say that, as I said, sometimes you need to read things twice. I need to do that too.
Oh, yeah.
But the best articles, in my opinion, and I try to pick the ones in the readings, are the ones that are very clear and are very straightforward in a way and don't unnecessarily complicate things. It's actually very easy to write something complicated. It's much easier to write something simple. So in my life, the biggest challenge that I have when I write an article is to write it in a simple way. And that's sort of what, so you made it to the right module, because analytical sociology is all about that. So it tries to be very precise and very clear in what it says. It's still sort of in the nature of sociology, like we kind of express, sometimes I miss the application or whatnot, it can be a lot of thinking in a way, and you need some time to get into that in a way. But I don't think that's an excuse to be unclear and to be confusing and to be overly wordy. An example that I can give, like, I don't know, I was a young PhD student. I'm writing my first article, and my supervisor, Peter Hedstrom, who's the dude on analytical sociology, he just takes my article and he just deletes every third word. Yeah, and everything was completely red. Yeah, and I thought, what the hell? What did I do? It's not good. But you know what? It became so much better. It got so much clearer, much more straightforward, because there wasn't that much distraction. So generally, this is something that I think good research does. And I encourage you to do that too, in the assignments and so on. Get to the point, be clear, and don't express yourself in an overly complicated way.
Complex topics told simply are like the best thing ever. Like if I can understand a complex topic because you wrote it simply, that is amazing. But most of the time when I come across a complex topic when I'm doing journal articles or whatever, it's always told in a complex way, and I hate it. And I get bored and I get annoyed and I just stop reading the article.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind, oftentimes people do that because and you do find that in sociology. So sociology is very diverse. We'll talk about that. But sometimes people need to justify their existence. And in order to do that, one strategy is to express oneself in a very complicated way. So I wasted like 6 months of my life on General Systems Theory by Niklas Luhmann. I don't know if you ever kind of came across that guy, but it's just crazy. It doesn't have a beginning. It doesn't have an end. It's like really like poof. My mind was exploding. I didn't really get it until at some point I had to admit to myself, like, oh, maybe the guy didn't write it in the best way. So if something is incredibly difficult to understand, it's not always your fault.
Okay.
I think sometimes writers will get kind of entrenched in like their academia and their field and like stuff that they are hearing constantly and that they're reading and picking up. They'll just kind of transfer it and put it because they're in that mindset. But then someone else who's coming into that will have a barrier to entry because they aren't living in that space in the way that the person who wrote it did.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, do we have any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. So I noticed that one of the readings is about computational social science.
Yeah.
So are we going to talk about like Thomas Schelling and his models of segregation and stuff like that? Yeah.
Sorry. Now you're off. Yeah.
Oh. Are we going to be talking about like how Thomas Schelling and his models of segregation and stuff like that?
Yeah, we will. Like Thomas Schelling is actually a key writer in this area. So I sometimes have even 3 lectures on the model of segregation. Let's see how much we will have now. 2 videos for sure on that. Thomas Schelling is a Nobel Prize winner in economics. Sadly, he died. I have a funny story about him because actually I met the guy and we were standing next to each other and had a terrible cold. And, it's like these awkward moments where you stand next to a Nobel Prize winner, it's just you and the guy and like nobody else around. And I said, fuck, what am I going to talk to this guy? What can I possibly say? What can I possibly say that is interesting? And this guy, this guy has like people talking to him all the time, trying to schmooze him and whatnot. And I said, so I was standing there in silence next to Thomas Schelling. But also another reason, I had a terrible cold at the time. And, Thomas Schelling, he was already 85. And I thought, what if I cough? And what if the guy gets sick? And what if I'm the guy who killed Thomas Schelling? Yeah, because I kind of gave him my virus. So I was sort of standing next to him, but I talk more about that once we have the sessions. We will, there are a couple of readings from him. There's actually one book that I recommend, Micromotors and Macro Behavior, which is like a general book, which is very fascinating. It's also, he writes in a very understandable way. And he also, for example, talks about dynamics of people walking into a room. So if this would happen in a lecture theater right now, I would have looked at where do you sit? And how do you choose your seat, and how does it affect other people choosing their seat, and so on. But we will cover Thomas Schelling. Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, another thing is figuring out the timing of this. But now we kind of had an hour, so now it's time for me to stop. So what's going to happen now? On Thursday, I'm going to release the first video. So watch that. Do the reading until then. So you have to read this paper by this book chapter by Gianluca Manzo on the principles of analytical sociology. You have the PDF on Brightspace, and you get the most out of it if you kind of read that now, and then you watch the lecture. That's sort of really like a good learning experience. You kind of do it first, and maybe you don't get everything, and then I talk about it, and then boom, and then it's a much better learning process. And next week I will do the same. So next week I will release two sessions, two videos. Normally then I also, so at the end of the first video, I tell you about the reading that you have to do for the next one, basically, right? But you also find it on Brightspace, and for the first 3-4 weeks, I think I have the material already, everything posted on Brightspace. The other weeks I will post as I get along, but always that you have a bit of a head start a few weeks before, that you can read ahead if you want to, and so on. So that's going to happen. And then we have our next live session like this on the 6th of October, I think. And I will also set up a discussion forum where you can ask other questions if you have some, and keep in mind there are no dumb questions. There's always a chance that somebody else has that same question too. And in the meantime, you can also reach out to me for my virtual office hours.
I had a question about, so the off Tuesdays that we don't have a live lecture, are there going to be pre-recorded lectures on those Tuesdays as well?
Yeah. I said, I'm not sure, am I going to release it on Tuesday, or I'm going to release 2 videos on the Thursday? That's sort of something that I still need to figure out about my own rhythm, about how to do it in the best way, because let's face it, I need to come to QCD to do all these recordings, and that's sort of like a bit of a problem on that side as well. But at the very least on Thursday, you will get the material for sure, and then you have the material for that week. Okay, so in this case, well, I hope you guys have a good start into the new trimester. I really hope this is working out somehow. I'm also the head of teaching and learning in sociology, so I'm a bit worried about here and there. But I know people are all doing their best. Colleagues, they have different abilities, so but they will go to what they can do. And this is new for all of us. I know it's also new for you. I'm happy that you made it here. I know it's also challenging. You're sitting in your rooms and whatnot, and so this is a tricky time. But we, at least in this module, I can tell you, are not compromising on the educational quality of this. I actually ask you to do exactly the same stuff that I normally do as well. Right? So there will be things that you have to do for this module, but if you go along, do it regularly every week, you will be fine, and everybody can do great in this module. Okay, guys, so I hope you have a good day, and I see you live on the 6th of November, and I see you in a video on Thursday. Okay.